Hello, mental health warrior family. Steve Knapp, the mindset warrior, back for our first episode of Power Hour of Mindfulness for 2022. I've shelved Mindset Santa for the next, whatever it is, 11 and a half months. I'll be back again at the end of the year, but now we're just Mindset Steve's back running amok. And tonight, I've got a guest I've been excited about bringing on for quite a while now. She's the Kiwi Queen, one of my favourites that I've got to know really well in the last few months and inspires me daily. So I'm going to jump into our little intro video and then I'll be bringing on the amazing Jenny Barrett. We'll see you soon. Jenny, welcome. Thanks so much for being part of my very first show for the year.
You're very welcome.
So excited to have you on. I said in the intro that you inspire me, and am I allowed to elaborate a bit on that and as to why?
Yeah.
Is that all right with you? I've got to tell everyone, I've watched this amazing lady fight and battle and struggle with letting herself be known to the world. And like the most phenomenally beautiful flower out there, Jenny has just slowly blossomed and opened up into this absolutely sensational, amazing person that's really starting to share herself with the world. And that's what inspires me, to see that growth and that beauty come out, because you've got so much amazing stuff to share. It's been so good to watch.
Thank you. That's really cool. But remember, I couldn't have done it without the help of great people like yourself.
Well, that's the beauty, isn't it? As long as we're surrounded by the right people, we can achieve anything. Absolutely achieve anything. And we've got a quick hello from Adam and Kerry, and we have a super special mention. I'm very excited that we have this show tonight, Jenny, because it is young Lucas's 10th birthday. So I want to wish him an awesome birthday. It's early in the morning. It's only 8:30 in the morning over there. So he's got the best day of his life ahead of him. And I hope he runs amok and has a ball and maybe shoots his dad a couple of times with the Nerf gun just for fun.
Happy birthday, Lucas. Well done.
Oh, and Caroline's back. Hey, Caroline, thanks so much for watching us too. Oh, and we've got Jenny. You're an inspiration. See, it's not just me that thinks it. And Valerie's here as well. It's all happening. Everyone's jumping on. So, Jenny, I would love to know, like, we touch on all these little bits and pieces, but when you speak, you don't waste your words. You have these little nuggets of wisdom that just flow through you. And I don't know if they're intentional or not, but you just seem to really just find the right words to say at any given moment. Where has that come from? Have you always had that?
No, not at all. Because if you had asked me that 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't have even come here. So it's been a growth thing for me. But I think it's come from watching and learning from other people, either that have inspired me or have pushed me to do what I need to do, and just being able to share their knowledge as well as my own just lights me up. I love people. I love being able to empower people to feel good about themselves.
You're bloody good at it. I'll give you that much. Every time, just chat. I'll let everyone know we had a quick chat today, and bang, Jenny's into giving me words of wisdom that I needed to hear. Steve, here's a quote. It's just like, bang, you just have the answers. And I think that's a special talent that a lot of us could harness more if we just take the time to listen to others, we can find the right words in the moment. And I think that's one of your superpowers, that you have the ability to just pull out the words that are needed to be heard by people just off the cuff. There's not thought, because it comes from your heart. There's no thought involved at all.
Yeah, and people say, if you could learn one new thing every day, so 1% of your day you learn one new thing, that means that in 365 days, you've grown 365%.
Yeah.
So we're never too old to learn, ever. We learn off of our kids, off our grandkids, everybody around us, and that's a really beautiful thing in my book.
I couldn't agree more. I've mentioned to a couple of friends of mine who are well out of the coaching space. They've got nothing to do with what we do or anything. They're just normal everyday people. And I've just said to them, I said, look, I'm just immersing myself. Like, I deliberately join Facebook groups and things that are polar opposite to what I think and believe, just intentionally to open my eyes to what else is out there and what other people think and what they're seeing. So I don't want to get trapped in that bubble of thought of just, well, everything I know and associate with what life is, and just ignore the other half of the population. I love to just immerse into that and learn about what everybody else is seeing, and it expands your horizon so much more.
Because it's very easy to keep in your own bubble with your own blinkers on, looking one way. But, there's people to the left and the right of us that can teach us so much. And I think that if we look more to those type of people to learn more, it's got to make us better people, for sure.
Definitely. It's undeniable. The more you can tap into what your surroundings are rather than being trapped in your own thoughts and mindset, it just changes everything. And it makes life much more enjoyable to know that we don't all have to have the same beliefs. We don't have to have the same opinions, but we do have to have the same respect for others' opinions. I've seen so much negativity of late, obviously, with like people just with conflicting opinions that think you just got to hate each other. And it's so wrong and not true. Like, if my mate says, I barrack for this footy team, and I go, well, that's not Hawthorn, we're not mates. Bugger off. No way. Nah, totally wrong. You have no taste. We're never going to be friends again. How ridiculous does that sound? But we'll do it over the most trivial things in life. It makes no sense whatsoever.
And also, I think that this little pandemic that's going on around us and is everywhere has caused really...
I hadn't heard.
It's caused some really big divides within families. I mean, we've had parents that have kicked their kids out of home, with the young adults out of home, because they won't do this, or they won't be vaxxed, or they won't do whatever. And it's crazy, because I believe when I became a parent, it's for life. It wasn't just when it suited me and when people were doing what I wanted. It's a lifelong journey. And I just find it really strange how people can, like you say, kick you off the team because you don't have the same view as them.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. Like, I love a good debate. Like, I love two people. I love having someone that looks at things differently to me, but isn't closed-minded and will just go, no, you're wrong, shut up, you're an idiot. I like to be able to have that, and then be the same and go, okay, no, that's cool. I hadn't looked at it like that. That's really awesome. I appreciate your point of view. You haven't changed mine, but it's cool to have the discussion, not just say, bugger off, you're wrong, I'm right. It's not gonna serve you long term if that's the way you're gonna be, especially in these times. You need to, be adult enough to have a conversation, not shut people out of your life because of a different view or opinion. Like, we've got to remember that everyone's getting fed the information that they're getting fed. We're not all getting fed the same stuff. We have to do some research and make up our own minds. But but come from a place of love, not divide and conquer, because that's the politician's problem. That's not for us to do. That's for us. We're to come from the other side and to combine and prosper, not divide and conquer.
And I totally agree with you. It's not for us to force our opinions, our thoughts, our beliefs on others, because that's not right either. We're all unique. We were all born. You were born Steve Knapp. I was born Jenny Barrett. There's not another Steve Knapp, unfortunately, but thank goodness there's only one Jenny Barrett. We are unique in our own way.
And I love it, because it'd be bloody boring otherwise. We've all got to be ourselves and show our true colours and just do it respectfully. So I told Adam I'd be rusty. My English is just – I haven't had to talk as much the last few weeks. My English is just coming back, slowly coming back. And Melissa's watching too. Sorry, just catching up on there. That's awesome. And I think that's Adam that's asked, over the last year and a bit, what have you learned from watching the Mental Health Warriors? What have you found from being – you're fairly new to the space, Jenny. What have you found's been beneficial from watching what we're doing?
I have learned a lot, especially with the autism spectrum, having it in my family as well. I've appreciated learning from Kerry and Adam with their experiences as well. At 4 o'clock this morning, I loved watching the lovely lady that Adam had to interview, and now for the life of me it's just gone off the top of my head. But Cynthia? Just such a wonderful person. Yes, I think, yeah. As I say, brilliant. 4 o'clock this morning was a long time ago, but it was just awe-inspiring. And to see these people, that aren't afraid to stand up and speak about what they believe in or what they experience, to me, it's just a godsend, because they're real people.
Yeah. And how good is that? Just real people, real conversations. And I'm very similar. Like, I'm learning so much. Like, obviously I've got my little fields of knowledge, as random and diverse and weird as they are. But everyone else has got all this really awesome stuff that just blows me away. And I can't get enough of it. Like, I miss a lot of them live, obviously, being at work and whatnot. But to catch replays, it's just, yeah, I'm very similar to you there, Jenny. The knowledge that's out there, and obviously the phenomenal guests we have on, like, people just blow me away. I'm a privileged man to sit in this seat, to have the caliber of people like you, and like, we've got Valerie, we've got Melissa, like, so many people that I've been lucky enough and privileged enough to have join me on shows that can teach me so much. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Adam's giving me shit. One Steve Knapp is bad enough. How rude, Adam. Imagine if it was 10 of me. Once I work out how to clone myself, it's game over.
I think too, Steve, the fact that this platform has enabled people to speak about mental health a lot easier and freely now, because, once upon a time it was shut behind doors, it wasn't spoken about, it wasn't seen. And now, due to the likes of Adam and Kerry that are putting this out, and yourself, we're able to understand others ourselves. I mean, really, I think we all have a little bit of mental health, somewhere along the way, but some of us are willing to admit it and some are not.
Yeah, and I think it is having a space like this that is totally safe and relaxed. I think everybody knows how I am with mental health, and I know it's a serious topic, but I don't like to make every conversation serious. I love to share my story about where I've been and where I've come from, and why I'm the way I am, but I don't want to dwell on all the negative side of it. I just want to try to bring a comfortable lightheartedness about things where we can just openly share and know that the people that are tuning in are like-minded, and you're not going to ever be bullied here. It's just like, it just doesn't happen apart from Adam and I, but that's just meant to be. So don't stress if anyone worries about our banter. It's all in good fun. We can't help ourselves. But yeah, I think the more we can do that, the better.
Yeah, even you saying that, I mean, even watching from the male perspective of you guys stepping out of your comfort zone and speaking about it and putting your message out there, that is powerful in itself, because once upon a time, it wasn't the macho thing to talk about that stuff.
No, not as a roof tiler in Melbourne, that's for sure. It wasn't. It was not the done thing in the 90s. You'd be laughed off the building site and told to go and have a spoonful of concrete and toughen up a bit. It was definitely not a discussion that would be had 20, 25 years ago. Not a chance in the world. Which I think probably, I mean, for me personally, I think I would have opened my eyes a lot sooner to what I was going through if it was a discussion topic back in the 90s and early 2000s. I think it was only getting to this space in time where we managed to open up a bit more that I actually understood what was going on in me, and then started chatting to a couple of mates and going, guys, I think there's something not right. And they're like, bugger off, mate, you're the happiest bloke we know. And I'm like, maybe that's the problem. Am I the happiest bloke you know, or do I portray the happiest bloke you know? Am I the best actor you've ever met in your life? Because
I think sometimes we're all guilty of that. Sometimes we can have the biggest smile on our faces and say all the right things and be there at the right time for whoever, but deep down inside, you could be hurting like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's painful to not talk about. Like, the longer you hold on to that, the worse it's going to be. And I mean, I worry, like, this is something Jenny and I also touched on earlier today, was how parents seem to be trying to outdo them. Because obviously coming off Christmas, how parents have to try to outdo themselves every year on just buying their kids love for Christmas. And it's not right. You spend $1,000 on a child when they're young. The next year they expect $1,500. Then it'll be $2,000. Where does it end? I think we're creating a generation of people that expect way beyond people that give, and we're creating a problem for ourselves, starting it at such a young age that, oh, here you go, have this because it's got a screen on it. You can entertain yourself. Then I don't have to be a part of your life so much. And then you look back when you get older and go, God, I wish I was more a part of my kid's life. What went wrong? And it's like, you made it easy for them to not be a part of yours right from the age of 3, 4, 5. I know 5-year-olds with mobile phones, for God's sake. Like, who are they calling? Are they building a network or an empire now? Like, if they are, that's awesome. Like, go for it. But if they're doing it just playing and mucking around, it's probably not ideal.
I think too, Steve, with the way that we are these days with so many blended families around, there's a certain amount of competition between the parents. Like, Dad got me this, so Mum's got to get me that, or vice versa. And they're trying to outdo themselves as well, because, oh, well, she bought him that, I've got to buy him this. But it's really, for example, my little grandson that comes here every second weekend, the one thing he says is, I love you, Grandma. And I said, why's that? And his answer to me was, because you play with me. Now, if that means this old girl's got to sit down on the ground with the Lego blocks for 2 or 3 hours, when I could have been doing my own stuff, but that's all that little boy wanted. I couldn't go to a shop and buy that.
Yeah, that's the connection right there, isn't it? That's what it's all about. And you're so right too, especially with so many kids growing up in divorced families. Totally guilty myself, which I think I've touched on before. When my parents divorced, I was only, what was I, 11, 10, something like that. I got to choose who would keep the family home and I would live with. And guilty as, I chose Dad because he bought me the toys. He was the one that bought my love, and as a young child, that set me up for failure. I thought, well, I didn't think, I knew I could be bought. And I had another parent who loved me much more and would have guided me into adulthood a totally different way, in the amazing Fran Knapp that a lot of people know and have seen on here. Or I had someone that would not be present, would always be at work, but would buy me stuff, but not actually have any impact on my life. So I'd wonder how different things would have panned out if I had have chosen the opposite way and ignored toys and gifts as a form of love and chose love, just chose love. I think I would have probably made a lot of different, so many different mistakes, not as many, and so many different ones. They would have been much more beneficial to me if I had have just chosen the love path right from the get-go.
But, it's easy to be wiser afterwards when we're older and look back and say, hey, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. But at the end of the day, you still become a very grounded adult and you can make those decisions.
Yeah, it changes everything then. When you got your own kids, you totally have a different perspective. And then I'm looking forward to being like you, Jenny. The grandkids, I'm going to go nuts. They're getting mindset skills from birth. They're not getting an option. They're not going to be waiting until they're teenagers. It's going to be hitting them right between the eyes from very young, whether my kids like it or not.
I think the biggest thing with that, Steve, is it's talking the truth right from the get-go, and building them up to be worthwhile humans, even as early as before 5. They still know the difference, I'm sure. We've got kids going to school now that can read and write and do all those things. Maybe back in our days, we didn't have the daycares or the things that set us up for all that stuff, but it still didn't hurt us any the less.
No, I think it was beneficial for us. I think really, really beneficial for us not having all of that. I think we learnt a lot of how to do this stuff from living, not from watching. We actually were much more hands-on generations in the past, where we learned from each other, and we spent so much more time together in person, outdoors, in nature, doing the most random stuff that didn't even matter. No one cared. It was just cool fun. Riding BMX down a dirt track and falling off and covering yourself in mud, and then your mates laughing at you. No one could film it. It didn't have to go on Instagram or Facebook. It was just the pure enjoyment of the individuals there. And then you go to a party a couple of weeks later and you could tell the story and bring everyone else in. But it didn't have to involve a camera. Nothing had to be filmed because we were all present together at the time, enjoying the moment. And that is so lost in the generations now. And us ourselves, we've picked up the same habits, so we're certainly modelling the behaviour for our kids as well. I think we're just as guilty as them, but hopefully at some point in time we can realise that one-on-one or 5-on-5, whatever interaction face-to-face beats having a device in your hand every single time.
And another thing that brings to mind with you saying that, Steve, is that as adults, we forget to play. No, don't take this the wrong way, please. But you know, just try it some days, you know, forget about what you've got going on. And as you say, take them outside, make mud pies. Who cares? It's only dirt and we've got plenty of water in the world to clean up afterwards. Or, you know, hammer and nails and things like that. And we were building a cart the other day. My gosh, you've never seen such a funny cart because Grandma, you know, isn't really the best technical person around. But hey, they had fun. And all of a sudden, you know, it was 2.5 hours later. And we had all these wonderful, wild ideas that what was going to happen. And that to me was real connection because you were there, as you say, present in the moment, doing their stuff. And it's so empowering. It really is.
Yes, I love it. See, I'm really lucky for an old bloke. I can play. I can keep playing all day long. It's my dream. It's my passion. It beats working. The kids want to go outside and kick a footy. I'm there. Play cricket. I'm ready to rock. Like, build something. I'm all over it. Like, I'm very lucky that I have Peter Pan syndrome and I refuse to grow up. It's never going to happen.
Don't even lose it.
I'm trying. It's getting harder as I get older and I'm not agile like I used to be. But mentally, I'm still 15. Can't take that away from me. You saw me on New Year's Eve running amok with 14-year-olds. I've still got it there for a little bit. I just can't sustain it as long as I used to.
Well done for admitting it.
You've got to try to keep up with them at some extent and teach them words of wisdom as much as you can. I think that's the most important part. You've got to try to guide them, even though I'd had a bit to drink and I was a bit of a mess. I think my message still got through when I dragged them aside after midnight and said, "You guys, how often do you get told you can be whatever you want to be? You can achieve whatever you want to achieve?" I said, "You're 13, 14. How often does that happen?" And they're like, "It doesn't happen." And I'm like, "You're around the wrong people." So I'm going to tell you right now. I said, "All of you, tell me, like, one by one, what's your dream? What do you want to be? Who do you want to be?" And I'm like, "It's yours. Do a bit of work, surround yourself by the people that believe in you, and it's yours." And I just hit them all between the eyes one by one and just gave them that little bit of belief. I thought if there's one little bit I can give them to kick off their new year, it'll be a bit of belief in themselves that they can achieve whatever they want. And I've got their back. They didn't even know me. Some of these kids had known me for like 6 hours. And here's this old dude telling them they can be whatever they want. But they seem to appreciate it. Except for my own daughter, of course.
It is a shame that they don't do more of that free type thinking in schools and, you know, build up the person. It's all very well to be academic, but you also need to have the social skills as well and to be able, for them to be able to be comfortable to speak in front of their peers, for them to have their opinions and not be scared of it. To me, would be the greatest gift you could give these kids.
Yeah, and I think that the onus is on all of us, isn't it? Like parents, uncles, aunties, friends who have kids. Like it's up to all of us to build that belief in them and let them understand that as long as you don't let the system break you and you embrace yourself and don't let anyone tell you anything's impossible, you can do it. Like I know personally, I spent years not thinking I could do things because no one had. Although Mum does say she told me when I was young that I could do anything. I said, yeah. I said, I'm sure most parents do, but then as you get older, that wears off, and you just expect kids to just think that they can do anything. No one thinks they can do anything. God, we're full-blown adults that have been rocking this adult life for 20 plus years, and we still need people to say, you got this. I'm with you. You can do it. You can achieve it. We can do it together. It doesn't matter how old you are. We just have to keep saying, you can do it. I know that worked for a treat for us in The Alchemists as a crew. Just having belief and faith in each other and cheering each other on. And none of us were kids. We've all learnt, it doesn't matter what age. Tell an 80-year-old that they can do something that everyone's saying they can't. It can work for everyone.
It's like feeling that you have to fit in. And I think that's where a lot of our teens, tweens, whatever you want to call them, today struggle because they think they have to fit a certain mold. And I used to say to my kids, you're a round peg in a square hole. You do not have to touch the sides like everybody else. You can do whatever you set your mind to do. But that, again, is something that we need to instill in them and nurture, like you're saying, and build them up, because so many of them feel they can't, or it's not the right thing to do to stand up and be counted in their own right.
So true, so true. And because we're not teaching to be present and in the moment, we're not teaching to be fluid and be able to move with life and adapt. Because if you're fluid, the shape of the hole doesn't matter. You can go through anything. You can make your life whatever you want. If you're in a fluid motion, you're with the flow, then it doesn't matter. But we just don't seem to embrace it enough and teach it enough. And I'm going to be an advocate for it. I'm pushing it to the girls I coach at netball, anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Jade's friends pop around. They're going to cop it because it's all going to be loving and for their benefit. Doesn't serve me any purpose. It's for them. And that's, if I'm helping a next generation become better humans and have great lives, then it becomes for me. Then that's all I care about. That's happiness.
And I bet in 15, 20 years' time, those girls will still remember Steve, the netball coach, that taught them exactly what you've just said. I mean, I have about 37 children, not naturally, of course, but I mean, my kids brought their friends home, and even they're in their 30s now, but they still call me mum. And it's like a family that is never ending. And it is such a special feeling being able to be looked upon like that and respected for it too. It's huge.
I reckon so too. I think that's massive to be able to have that connection where your kids' friends feel comfortable to have that relationship with you. You're not the scary parent that they don't want to go to the house. You're the one that they feel comfort in and they can come to with a problem. And it's like funny you say that, like 20 years later with my netball girls. It's 19 years now that I very first started coaching boys basketball. And I'm still friends with a handful of those kids now that are about to turn 30 and buying houses, and will come to me and say, Steve, can you look at the building report? Can you tell me what do you reckon about the roof? And I'm like, these kids were 9 years old when I first became part of their life. And that could have been over in a 15-week season. Could have been done, dusted, but no, I'm still got a relationship with their parents, a relationship with them that, I didn't want them to feel like I'm only here for them for that period of time. If you're unfortunate enough to cop me in your life, that doesn't go away unless you ask me to. Then I'm happy to be around forever if I could be any form of benefit.
But that goes back to respect, doesn't it? And a lot of people expect you to give respect, but they don't do anything to earn it either. So if it's a two-way street, it's going to work. But if it's all one way all the time, then, you can kiss that goodbye. But what a great thing, as you said, to have that relationship still 20 years, 15 years down the track.
Wouldn't trade it for the world. I've never think it's worthwhile to look at any relationship as short term. there's no reason why that person you meet for the very first time isn't going to be your friend for life. So I think it's how we embrace each interaction as well. And it's funny, my daughter said to me, it was yesterday or the day before, she goes, Dad, no checkout ladies at the supermarket care what you've got to say. And I'm like, that's a really sad insight, Jade. I said, that is a sad insight. I said, I promise, if you come with me to this supermarket every day, I said, there's a reason why all the staff here know who I am. It's because I have a conversation. I ask how their day is. I said, I don't drag things out to slow up the line, but I have a chat. And they smile. And you leave saying, have a great day. I said, who's to say I won't become friends with the people at the checkout? Why not? They've got to have friends too. Like, it doesn't have to be, I've been friends since primary school with that kid, so we're going to be friends forever, but I met you when I'm 40, so I can't see that happening. Nah, that's rubbish. Like, treat every single individual that you get to have a conversation with from a place of deep love and curiosity, and they could be your best friend for the next 30 years. Give every person the opportunity to be them and see what clicks, because it's gonna.
My mum and dad used to say to me, you will only get out of either your children or any relationship you choose to have what you put in. And as a young parent, I used to think whatever, but I did just that. I was the rugby ref. I was the soccer ref. I ran up and down the hockey field and did all that stuff. And I don't mind admitting I have the most amazing relationship with my two boys. If my mother could hear our conversations right now, she would probably turn over in her grave and her hairs go on the back of her neck. But that is how open we have been, because every school trip we went on, I went as their medic or their camp mum or whatever, and people would say to me, why bother? Let the teachers do it. But if we all felt like that, I wouldn't have the relationship that I'm really proud to say I have with my kids right now.
That is awesome, Jenny. That is so awesome. And I'm sure that's why you were called mum by so many of their friends. You were part of their life. You were there. You were at the sports. You were around. And being present gave them the opportunity to get to know you. You weren't the dad that couldn't make training or got another parent to take them to games, or the mum that just sits in the stands and doesn't want to talk to anyone. You're there. You're on the sidelines. You're part of it. People want to be part of who's part of life. You become an attraction magnet because you're there, and people are like, it's pretty cool what they do. I wouldn't do it. I get that all the time. Oh, you coach, your committee. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, you don't have to. That's not who you are. But if you did, you'd love it. Give it a go. Never say never, because you'll get relationships that will change you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just think the connections that we build with people are so important. I've observed people and seen them shy away from doing that sort of stuff. And like you say, in the end of the day, they're the ones that miss out big time, all because they were either too scared or what the neighbour might think or whatever. But you know what? Who gives a damn? As long as the kids want you there and you want to be there with them, it's got to be a win-win situation.
Every time. I think a lot of parents forget that someone's got to do this stuff. It doesn't always have to be that other person. Have a crack. Realize how much more your kids like you being involved, rather than feel like you're not supportive, you're not watching, you're not coming. If you're involved in the game, then they know you give a shit. They know that you care about how they're progressing and what they're doing, and you want to be a part of it. Like, it makes a difference to them. And motivates them. Like, I know with Jade, quite often she'll come home from netball training and go, "That's it, I quit. Dad's too hard." But then I know she's back again. She never misses one. She might find moments, which I am guilty. She does do it a bit harder than some of the other kids, but I know she's not going anywhere because I've got her back. I'm going to be there every week. She's never going to have to turn up to a game without a parent watching or cheering her on from the sidelines. It's never going to stop. I don't care if she's playing sport when she's 40. Her old man's going to be there, 70 years old, on the sidelines cheering, never going away.
But, that's a funny thing too, Steve, because I bet those other girls in Jade's team say to her, "It is so cool that your dad does what he does." And it only takes one person to sow that little seed, and then she'll think, "Oh, yeah, it is actually quite cool." Not that I'm going to admit it to Dad, but it really is quite cool.
I think I'm lucky there that a few of them do have my back and back me up. They like me, so I'm privileged that I get to share that with them. And there was one other thing I wanted to talk about too, Jenny, before I forgot, that we were touching on before today, and about self-love and things we can do to sort of tap more deeply into that, and the benefits of what comes when we do sort of speak to ourselves in a loving way. And I know you'd mentioned, like writing to yourself from a place of love, which is so rare, so rare. I'm guilty, never do it. Like, I don't talk myself up often, occasionally, but not often. And I think it is a real powerful thing to sit down, and it's not easy. It's not easy to take time to write down a message to yourself about the things you love, but what you gain from it is immense. It's absolutely huge.
Well, like I was saying earlier, is that self-love is a really broad subject, because what self-love is for Steve Knapp is probably not what self-love is for Jenny Barrett. So, everyone's been saying Happy New Year, and, you've got to do this and journal and da-da-da. And, like, I picked up my pen every day for the last 4 days. I looked at it, and I'm sure it looked at me and went, "Get out of here. You're not in this space right now." Fair enough. Cool. So I was thinking, what can I do to make me realize my own worth and the self-love I have for myself? So I said, like I said to you, I challenge you to write a love letter to yourself. Now, we can all write a love letter to anyone else, and that's cool. But write the love letter to yourself and then read it. And I guarantee you, by the time you finish reading that, you'll either want to change it or you'll want to read it every week. And it's such a powerful thing. I did it, and the first one was absolute shocker. I mean, it went in the bucket because that's all it was worthy of. But the second time, when I really thought about it, and wrote to myself as if I was speaking to myself, it was really cool.
Nice.
So, any of you out there that want to do a little bit of a challenge, there it is. Write yourself a love letter.
And do you reckon, like, it's like you said, that the first time it wasn't something that you, like, totally believed in or really got on well with it? Is it something you keep doing until that really does hit home and you're like, that's something I do want to read every single day?
Because the first one was what I thought I wanted to read.
Yep.
And I don't know whether that makes sense. So I wrote it as if I wrote it, and then I read it, and it was telling me all the things I thought I wanted to hear, but it actually wasn't. It was just surface
Yes.
shit. So when I went back the second time and dug a little deeper, there was things that I actually thought about myself that I haven't even given the time of day. But they were actually there.
That is game changing, isn't it? You actually totally change the way you think about something to how you ever have before.
Mm.
And did you find, like, did you write stuff that you love about you that you'd heard from others? Or was it solely things that you'd sort of felt yourself? Or was there a blend of both? Like, I'm intrigued by this. I love it.
So the first time, yes, with things I had heard from others say. So I guess it was a sort of a surface belief.
Yeah.
But they weren't actually things that I wanted to say about me that I love.
That makes sense.
I mean, before now I would have said I hate these goddamn freckles. They're crap. But there's something that's been with me for 50 odd years. So why wouldn't I love them? They're not going anywhere. And,
That's it.
you
You
know,
can't
just because
change.
no, that's just because the sun loves kissing my face so much more. But it was little things like that that I would have dismissed easily, but they're part of me. They've grown up with me. They're here to stay. So why not embrace that?
And you've grown with them. Like, it's all everything tying in together, isn't it? It's like, it's just, that's part of you. You're part of it. Have some, like, I think that appreciation of, it's not a flaw, is it? It's like, you sort of think of it like a flaw, but it's not actually a flaw. It's just you and part of you and who you are, and having love for that. Like, it's tough for me. Like, loving being so ruggedly handsome and such an awesome bloke. Like, it's tough, but nah, only kidding. Like, I battle with things. It's like, God, like, God, it'd be great to be a bit thinner, but hey, I love having a bit of weight in winter. Keeps me warmer. You can flip anything into something that's a bit of love for yourself if you put a bit of time and effort into it, I think.
I really love Ed Sheeran songs that says, I love you for all your imperfect imperfections, because I don't think there'll be one person in the world that would say that they're happy with goddamn everything from here to their toes.
No.
They want to change something.
And there's a real good lesson in that too, in how we see people as well. Like, it's so easy for us to get caught up in comparing to these celebrities and supermodels and go, oh, look, they're absolutely perfect. There's not a thing wrong with them. But I guarantee if you ask them, they'd probably find more faults with themselves than we do with ourselves. It's just a matter of perception.
Well, a perfect person hasn't been created yet, but I think they're working on it with the robots, so they say. But you know what I'm getting at? We all have things, as you say, that we don't like. We try and change. Maybe your hair part's on the wrong side of the head, and for years you try and change that. But at the end of the day, that part's still going to be there. So why don't we embrace it, love it, and live with it?
Yeah. And I think the saddest thing of all is a lot of the time when we do these sort of exercises, we look at the external and we're like, oh, yeah, I don't like that about me. I don't like that about me. Look internal and find the things that you don't necessarily like or love about you internally and change there, because your beauty on the outside is going to flow from what the work you've put in on the inside. And if what you've done internally is coming from love and care and compassion and empathy and joyous, that's going to radiate. You're automatically people aren't going to notice that freckle or that mole or that chipped tooth, because your energy and the way you are as a person elevates way beyond anything external. No one cares. Like, fair enough, a few superficial people out there care, but in the real world, people don't care. It doesn't matter.
It's funny, but there's one word I really want to get rid of in the English dictionary. Just one word. And it's judgment. I cannot stand that word. Nobody has the right to judge anyone else for whatever reason, whether it's their health, the disability, or the way they look. But nobody was put on this earth to judge other people.
No, it's not. It's not a God-given right to anyone, unless you're judging people's awesomeness. So I'm pretty judgmental, Jenny, but I judge from a space of, you are a superstar. You have got this. You are amazing. So you've got to judge in a nice and loving way. That changes it all.
True. And like we said before, that goes back to the people we surround ourselves with. I mean, why would you bother spending time trying to relate to someone that's on a totally different page? I want to be around Steve Knapp because I like what he says, the things he does, and I align with what he's about. But I don't want to be, I don't know, on some supermodels page because her and I are never going to be the same. I'm way much better than her. No, just joking. But you know what I mean? That stuff does not rock my boat at all. I want to be around real people with real feelings, real emotions, and real love.
And that's why you are a supermodel. You are someone that people should model themselves on, and the behaviours that people should model themselves on. That's a supermodel in my eyes.
I'll write that in my next love letter to myself.
Supermodel. In the truest sense of the word. I think it's embrace it. That should definitely go in the next love letter. I think just being that real, beautiful, loving honesty that, because the best thing about you, Jenny, is you come from such a beautiful, caring place, but you also tell it how it is. If I'm being a clown and doing something not right, you're going to say, Steve, stop being a clown. What are you doing? Don't do that. And it will come from a place that matters, and I'll heed it, because, like you said, if we're surrounded by the right people that we resonate with, you want that advice. You want people to tap you on the shoulder and say, maybe don't do that. Try this. And you're like, yes, if you're saying that, that's what I needed to hear in this moment. And you don't have to rely on self-judgment so much if you've got people you can trust and rely on that are going to tell you how it is. And from a place of love, not to knock you down or make themselves look better or feel better just because they care for you. It's beautiful. I love it. And you smash it.
And you need to add in calmness. You need to add in calmness into that little equation, because the way I speak to you or to anybody else is with a calm respect. Yeah. But if I was bulgy and I don't know about you, but I think I'd turn off within the first 10 seconds, literally, because it's not what I identify with at all.
Well, it's not you, is it? Like, if you were being like that, you'd be losing your authenticity and you wouldn't be as relatable. I think that calmness is a natural quality that you can just provide. It's not fake. You don't have to pretend. It's just there and it's soothing. Like, spot on. Calmness. I should have picked up on that sooner. Like, you are calm. Like, so soothing and you can listen like no one else. God knows you can listen to me. You've done it for hours. over the last year, and you're still here. That's a massive win.
Well, there's just some people that come into your life that you actually just don't want to lose. And it's how you respond and react to those people that keeps you as forever friends, as far as I can see.
Oh, without a doubt. And I felt that when we first met, and when it was getting hard for you to do some challenges, I was like, "You're not going anywhere. We're not letting you go, because this is in you, and there's no time limit to this. We just sit back and you just keep showing up, and then you get that little bit more confident. You do something else, and then you get more, and you do something else, and that was the beauty of it. There was no time frame. Just had to let you evolve into that butterfly that was ready to go when you were ready to go, and that was just so awesome. It was so awesome. So yeah, you were never going anywhere. You were family right from the start, whether you knew it or not.
Thank you.
I hold my peeps very tightly and closely to my heart. So when I get that vibe, I don't let you go in a hurry.
They say rare treasures are hard to find.
Very, very. And when you find them, you don't let them go, because you don't know if you'll ever find them again. You've got to be careful. Got to be careful in this world to make sure you don't miss any opportunities. Got to have the eyes open all the time, and make sure when the right thing turns up that you're ready to embrace it and not let it go. I think it's super, super important, and comes back to what we were saying about being present and caring and loving. Then you identify the right people at the right time without even trying. It's not a choice. You just automatically, instinctively go, yep, that's my sort of person. They're going to be around.
Well, they tell us, don't they? You find the right tribe, and by goodness, sometimes some of them these warriors come into the tribe, and they're just not there for everybody else. They're just there for themselves.
Yeah.
So just keep looking. Just keep finding the people that light you up, that support you, love you, and are always there for you.
Yeah, they'll be out there. Just got to keep looking. Never give up hope that they're out there, because, yeah, we've proven it time and time again that the right people are out there for the right people. You just got to put yourself in the places where you're open to find them and care about who you're looking for as well. Don't just find a tribe that suits you but you're not going to be a part of. Immerse yourself in it, and your life will change for the better, without a doubt.
It's been a bit of a love fest, really, Steve. I'm not too sure whether this is going to go down too well.
Has that ever happened before when I'm involved? I don't think we've ever had it. No, it happens all the time, Jenny. It's all right. People are used to it. Used to me by now how I make things work. But no, you've been phenomenal as always. What a perfect person to have kick off the Power Hour for 2022. It's been awesome. And for a bit of housekeeping, tomorrow we have the amazing, absolutely amazing, great friend of myself and Jenny's, Melissa. Melissa Christie will be back at 8 UK time, 7 p.m. Aussie time for Energize with Mel, which is always awesome. If you don't have a lot of time and you can just tune into something for 10 minutes one night a week, 2 nights a week, then Mel is your girl, because she has so much amazing value and content, and another superstar that teaches me so many things every single day. She is absolutely amazing. Oh, and he's in perfect timing. She jumps in with a comment near the end. Thanks for your fantastic insights, tips, and sharing your knowledge. By Rockstar and Supermodel. Beautiful souls. There you go, Jenny. We've got new names now.
Yes.
And Caroline said it too, that loves that redefining rock stars and supermodels. Excellent. So, yeah, we're resonating. People understand us in our own quirky little ways. And as I always like to say, a massive thank you to you, Jenny. You've been amazing. I knew you would be. You've got so much knowledge to share with the world. And always, everyone that tunes in, we appreciate you so much. The comments, taking the time out of your day to tune in. It means the world to me, means the world to my guests and the rest of the Warriors. We appreciate you all so much. And that is it. We have kicked off 2022. Power Hour of Mindfulness, episode 1 for the year is done. Thank you so much, Jenny. You've been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone else. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.